Oh, shit.
Oh, there goes my sensor. Okay. So first of all, I gotta figure if this can play okay. I have to, this, okay, well, there we go. I have to make sure that I can play a YouTube video.
There goes my
So I'm going to play one of my own because I don't want to get DMCA'd. Okay. So this is my video. Don't even try and
first of all,
copyright
I gotta
mail me
figure
for
if,
this.
What to do is insert a new track. You can either
this
go to the
can
track
play
menu and add
okay.
new track, hit Control-T, or simply right-click on the track control panel and choose Add New Track. Now hit the record arm button.
I have to,
Left-click inside the tracks meter to bring up the input device drop-down menu.
I can play a YouTube video.
You'll see this
so I'm
menu
gonna play
is
one of my
divided
own
into mono
because I don't
inputs
want to
and
get
stereo
DMCA'd.
inputs.
So this
On
is
the
my
stereo
video.
input
Don't
menu,
even try and
first of all, I
copyright
gotta
mail me
figure
for
if,
might
this.
not see in other apps. But go ahead and feel free to use them. This is just one example of the little details that even at this beta stage, or simply right-click on the track control panel and choose Add New Track.
Okay, that looks good.
Now hit the record
Sorry for
arm
all that.
button.
I have to.
Left-click inside.
Okay, I'm gonna be starting in 2 seconds here. Let's see. Share my. I don't know how to share this stuff anymore. I'm inviting to. Okay, remind me. Remind me that I need to turn on my my recording. Yes, here we go. I'm gonna just hit record here. Make sure nothing weird's going on. Okay, so that should be going. I don't know if I can get anybody in here on Zoom this time because because of something even cooler. Well, could be cool. I don't know. We'll see if it's cool or not. Let me. So first of all, we're flashing up a big fair use thing here. I'm going to be doing a response to a video, probably. And so I just want to make this clear. You know, I see these reaction videos where really it's just somebody playing somebody else's stuff and some e-girl just makes facial expressions and, you know, I doubt that's really fair use, but you know, YouTube leaves it up just fine. And I see reaction videos, singer reacts and makes facial expressions to new song, whatever. So fair use, fair use, fair use. If you DMCA me for this, man, that is going to be so lame. Especially from what I've been through when I've been DMCA'd for my own speaking voice, for my own sounds. So let's not do this. And shoot, this one doesn't have the. I meant to have what the fair use thing was about, but anyway, this is going to be transformative if I even do it. We'll see if we get there. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I guess welcome to dropping in at Pipeline Audio number 84, and yeah, I'm calling it fair use. Okay. So please, fair use. If I do a response, you guys know that so many times you let people get away with murder in this stuff, and this is going to be actually transformative. It's going to be criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Okay, fair use. All right. So we'll see if we get there. So let me get to what's at the beginning here. Make sure this is all working. Looks like it's all going. Let me know out there if this isn't working. I'll fix it. Transformative sounds right to me. Okay, so first of all, you know, we've talked several times about just how useless Google and others have become as search engines. I have been using DuckDuckGo a lot more. Thanks for all you guys out there that were recommending that to me. I'm really blown away by just how useless Google's become. Even putting quotes around using the advanced searches and the verbatim. It's kind of amazing to me that, one of the things that when information first became really, Google was really good at this. If you wanted to know something about a guitar, you could probably find it. And nowadays it's so obfuscated. Mostly you're going to get ads or you're going to get clickbait sites and stuff when you're looking for a subject. And a lot of manufacturers, and it's not just for music gear or whatever. Like I was saying a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for some safety gear for my bike, and everything's just moved to that catalog type of website, which doesn't have much description at all. No manuals, no comparisons. There's very little information about what line is what. And, last week we were talking about the demise of Agile, probably the demise of Agile. And I was looking for alternatives, who's making 7 strings, affordable with really good parts, neck through body, those really pretty finishes or whatever. And, I started looking at the usual suspects. So like Schecter, for instance. I'm going to go to Schecter Guitars website. I'm clicking this for you guys who are listening in the audio. This episode's going to be a little bit painful. But, I see like 10, 15 different lines of guitars. I don't know which one's which. I'm just going to click on one of them. I'll click on the Damien, for instance. Adorned with our infamous and often imitated bat inlays, our Damien collection has the look and sound to shock and rock. The satin black finish adds just the amount of sinister to style. Now, I don't know. Does this mean that, I want to know things like, does it have a neck through body, or what are the differences between these lines? And it's really hard to tell. If I just click on one of these things, I'm going to click on, let's see, the Damien Platinum 7. And, it got EMGs on it. But the pictures, I can't see the back of the guitar. Is this neck through body or not? I can't. None of the pictures even have. So if I go to specs, neck, I don't see. Okay, construction set neck. Okay, so it tells you, but you have to dig pretty deep into the pages before you really find out much about anything. And is it true that are any of these Damiens going to be? So I'm going to go to Damien 7. And its specs say the neck is bolt-on. So, I don't know. It'd be nice to have a little bit more information on what's going on here. And this, I'm picking on guitars here, but this is really with pretty much anything nowadays. You're really seeing this where there's so little information. I'm glad for companies like Focusrite, where they still put a lot of info on the differences between their interfaces. Thank you, Focusrite. Thank you very much. Let's see. So I'm looking on Ibanez's website. It's gonna be the same kind of thing. Menu, products, electric guitars. Man, thing just jumped on me. Yeah, that's annoying too. Okay, electric guitars. So you have models that are, I don't know what's what. Is a RG? What's a RG? What's an RGA? What's an RGD? I don't know. I'd love for there to be some sort of description. Jackson, I'm kind of running into the same thing here. ESP is pretty cool because they have, if I go to the ESP website, let's see, products. Well, if you can find it, I was able to find it. Guitar Bass Finder. You really do have construction. You could choose bolt-on or neck through or set neck or whatever. I don't know what the difference is between neck through, set neck, and set through, but ESP is actually pretty good about this. I don't really. You can actually. You don't have to really go by series. You can go and find these things, but one of the reasons that, so here's Solar guitars, the same kind of thing. I couldn't really tell. They do have some new ones coming out that 4x guitars or 4x guitars with stainless steel frets and neck through construction. That looks cool. I think most of this stuff is made in the same place that Agile was made, so that's pretty cool. But there's a website out there called Guitar Specs, guitarspecs.net, and it really has a way where you can compare guitars to each other. I don't know how up to date they have things, but man, they really. I mean, if I want to look for something like in ESP LTD, they've got like a pile of them here. I can click on one of them. You just click on and I can compare it to another one. It tells you what the construction is. This is really cool, actually. So this will take a lot of the guesswork out. So whoever this is, guitarspecs.net, this is an awesome site. Go check it out. But manufacturers, it'd be nice to have some more info out there. ESP, I think you did a great job. So kudos to you. The next thing here is the Steven Slate VSX. Now, if you've been in the audio world at all last couple days, you've gotten the crap spammed out of you for some headphones that Steven Slade is selling now. And what it seems to be, I know all you guys have been checking out SonarWorks and some of the other things for mixing on headphones. It seems to be the same sort of thing. So they're going to sell you some pretty flat headphones for $480. Going to sell you some pretty flat headphones apparently, but he recommends not to use them without the software. So I guess they're not so good just as headphones, but which, to be fair, kind of none of them are. I don't know. Maybe, I guess you could say that. Can you say that? But it's meant to be used with an EQ or an impulse player or whatever, so that it can make it sound like you're in different. You're listening to different speakers, or it's basically, as far as I can tell. I know you guys are going to fry me for this, but for the most part, it's going to be something like SonarWorks. You're going to apply an EQ curve to the headphones. I think that there's like a center mixer so that you can hear stuff in between the ears, from ear to ear feedback. So, one of the problems with headphones is that they're completely discrete from each other, from left ear to right ear. So there's probably some cross feedback or whatever. As you could expect, over at GS, they are completely Kool-Aided out on this. I'm sure these are great. I mean, the funny thing to me on this is that from these exact same characters, I'm actually looking. I'm going to hide some names here. In fact, I'm not going to show that forum page. I've seen plenty of names on here who have insisted not very long ago whatsoever that you cannot mix on headphones. Cannot. Over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of products and a lot of posts, a lot of actual proof, evidence, some Grammy winners, I think, that you can mix on headphones. Things like SonarWorks allegedly will bring it to the point where your headphones sound right so that you can mix on them, I guess. I tried it. I sent one to my mastering engineer where I mixed on headphones, and it turned out okay. But it's funny that I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are guys who insisted on that you can't mix on headphones. And Kenny Gioia pointed out, we've gone from you can't possibly mix on headphones to you have to mix on these headphones, And somebody give me a picture. Where's the picture at? It's a pretty funny post where Kenny said something like, well, you could just send me $500 and I'll mix the album for you and give you a perfectly good reference. And Somebody responded to him. If you guys are watching this, you can see this picture. For $500 for just a mix, you better be mixing gold records. Post examples. Okay, before I could go on, first of all, you know, $500 for a mix is not that much. I know we all work super crazy cheap nowadays, but back in the day when houses in Hawaii were $50,000 to $80,000, gas was under $1 a gallon. It would cost you more than $500 to mix a song. So, you know, $500 today, that's a bargain. So, you know, but aside from that, so when he said that to him, of course, Kenny responded, post examples of my gold records or the platinum ones. Now that is some serious ownage by Kenny. And, you know, we can say a lot of things about Kenny nowadays, but that was pretty epic. And this is kind of how Reaper got formed. It was Kenny was giving some crap to Steve Albini, calling him out for being a hypocrite, and you know, somebody else on the same forum was making fun of Justin Frankel. But I had to go and take a look at what Justin was doing, and that's kind of how I got involved in the Reaper thing. So every once in a decade or so, Kenny owns the world. So that was pretty awesome, Kenny. But anyway, man, $480. You know, I went and bought some of those AKG, whatever, the 240s, and so that it would work with SonarWorks or what's the Tone Boosters one called? Whatever the Tone Boosters one is called. Same kind of thing where you apply an impulse response or an EQ to the headphones and make them sound like whatever. So that's that. That's the products this week. I didn't really have too much else because I wanted to take a look at something else. And a video that people kept sending to me, like, can you talk about what's on this video? And I'm not going to talk about the Adam Neely video. I think, I don't know. I don't generally like those videos. And, you know, he may or may not have a point. I don't know. But the other video you guys were telling me about, I don't understand. I think I saw an ad for this, but I'm not 100% positive. But this is why I'm saying fair use here. Fair use, okay? Fair use. I'm going to say it 1 billion times. Yeah, for all I know, it's not going to be a problem anyway. But it is a video called Why Do Home Recordings Sound So Bad? 5 Reasons Why. And it's by a channel called Frightboxrecording. And look, I'm going to be playing some of this, but I'm going to be making commentary and stuff. I don't want... this is fair use. I don't know how much more I got to say it, but... Okay, so I'm going to comment on what I see here. First of all, this looks like a pretty awesome channel. If you look around the guy's TV set, he's got all the horror movies. So this is kind of a cool Misfits Calabrese kind of thing. I don't know that he likes that stuff, but right off the bat, I got a couple problems. But let's just let me read the description of this thing. Why do home studio recordings usually sound so bad? Is it that people are rarely using high-end converters and preamps in their home studios? You know, I like this because these are the questions that we ask every single episode. You know, this whole idea of magical, unmeasurable somethingism that makes your sound so magical. You know, like I say, I've never heard a song where I say, oh, that would have been a hit if you had just used a Neve mic preamp instead of a Behringer one. I've never heard it. You know, I mean, you can make your life easier with better stuff, but in general, once you reach high fidelity, once you reach flat frequency response and a sensible bandwidth and low enough noise and distortion, you're going to get different, but you're not really going to get better. It's hard to describe what better is. I don't know. We don't have to go over this thing a million times. Is it the absence of high quality microphones? Well, again, you know, I like these questions. Or the lack of proper acoustic treatment. Now, you know, acoustic treatment is one thing where, you know, if your room doesn't work, and I'm in a pretty bad room, though I've padded the hell out of it with bass traps, but you know, if you're making bad decisions because you don't know what you're hearing, that is a problem. The use of plugins instead of outboard gear. Oh, I love that one. You know, how many times do we have to prove that canard? The absence of an analog console, as if analog is some sort of magical unobtainium. I like how this guy's saying it. The truth is that none of the above are to blame for bad sounding home recordings. So instead of, you know, describing it here, but you know, okay, you see me all the time complaining about clickbait and you know, just general lamery. I don't know, is that a word? Where these guys make these crazy hype videos and you know, you could end up with a 3-minute video that says everything that you need to hear, but no, they got to draw you in because, you know, it has to be a certain length for YouTube in order to monetize it properly. And you got to, it's like fake suspense and fake, you know, build up and fake attention grabs. It's just so lame. The multi-level marketing, mostly coming from churches or educated by the mega churches in this kind of prosperity gospel kind of thing. These guys are the lamest at it, and you'll see them. A lot of the very most popular recording channels on YouTube and the recording sites and stuff, they do come from that background. You can just, well, some of them just go right out and say it, but you can see they really come from the whole multi-level marketing, hype-based nonsense, just complete clickbait, no evidence, just all symbolism and no actual substance, and it drives me nuts. Can't stand it. And here I am just ranting away, but because I really don't like that stuff. And so even this guy, you know, we're going to get to the video, but even here, download your free 5-step guide to better heavy mixes. So I click on that. And, you know, you enter your email and then he'll send you this stuff. You know, these mega church MLM hyper dorks think that spammy email lists are worth their weight in gold, you know, or then more than that even, you know, because it's just electrons. I don't know that this guy's one of them, but oh man, I hate that. I hate that. This could be the greatest thing in the world, but oh God, it makes you feel just gross. So I did that, and so I look in my email, and then no, it's not in my email. It says, thank you for requesting my free 5-step guide. But, you know, now I can click and get a free PDF. I don't know. Is it some kind of violation if I show what the free PDF is? But, you know, so you got to go through a bunch of steps to get to the 5 steps to better mixes. 5 steps to better heavy mixes. Hey, I like that it's heavy mixes. Now, I'm gonna move this over to my other screen. So I have a feeling this is something this is getting into kind of murky territory here. But I've gone through some clickbaity stuff in order to get here. And I'm just gonna look and I'm gonna look and see these five steps here real quick. I'm just gonna look. I'm seeing this when you guys are seeing this. These aren't bad tips. He's talking about kind of template-y kind of things. I don't know, setting up your console. Yeah, this is kind of template-y. Yeah, this is not super bad advice. It's not. Yeah, I don't know. This could be cool. Let's take a look at this video. Everybody wanted me to talk about this video, so I'm just gonna play this and we're gonna comment on it. I'm going to play it, and I'm doing this the same way that all these, like, you know, all these other reaction whatever videos do. So I think I'm gonna be okay. Let me maybe I should make it smaller or something, and I should have like everybody else does, and like stick my face in one corner of it and pretend like I'm all. You know, you watch every one of these damn videos, and it's got a picture of the guy's face, and they're like making an expression like it's the most revelatory thing in the universe ever, you know. But whatever, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna make this thing kind of small. I mean, I guess I could mirror flip it or something. If you DMCA me for this, YouTube, you suck. So let's just take a look. You're gonna hear it when I hear it. Actually, I guess for you guys that you guys that have told me to watch this, you've already heard it. So let's just see. Yeah, I like this guy's intro. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, you guys you go check out this channel no matter what. This is kind of right up my alley. So.
Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here to explain to you the top 5 reasons why home studio recordings usually end up sounding pretty bad. Now admit it, when you think of home recording, I'm sure you think of budget, not great sounding productions. That's generally what comes to mind when people think of home recordings. Now, this isn't the reality. You can make amazing, totally professional sounding recordings in your home studio, but the truth is there's still that connotation between bad sounding recordings and home recordings. It still exists. That's just how it is. Even in the
let me know if this thing is like super loud compared to the talking or whatever. Let me you just tell me in the chat room.
Modern day, it's still what comes to mind. Now, it's common for people to falsely blame cheap interfaces, improper acoustic treatment, the lack of a console, the lack of outboard gear, the lack of expensive microphones.
I like where this guy's going. You know, I don't like his the email list thing, but you know, I understand that it's not like car salesman or something. It's little better than that. But let's see where this goes.
People generally blame the gear and the actual room you're recording in on why these recordings end up not sounding great. And I'm here to tell you that it's baloney, and there are other reasons why home studio recordings end up not sounding great. And I'm gonna give you the top 5 reasons that I see time and time and time again so you can avoid these mistakes. Number 1 on the list.
All right.
Not getting tones right at the source.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. If you can get the tones right at the source, but what do you mean by right? Do you know? You know, there's a lot of people who are gonna. Okay, nowadays, so many times, one person records the stuff and another person's gonna mix it. If you are recording it, you may have a pretty good idea of what you want, but it's not the guy who's mixing it. You know. We used to have a school of thought where you would record things exactly the way you wanted them to appear on the end of the record. Do you really have enough foresight to know every single thing, how everything's going to interact before you even record it, how every single part of this system's going to interact, all the plugins or compressors or EQs or whatever, how things are going to talk to each other? So it's important to define what you mean by getting it right at the source. To me, get something right at the source means get something usable. I mean, you can fix it, whatever. It might take some EQ, it might take some finagling with, but it's going to be something usable. It's not going to be so noisy that you can't deal with it. If you can make it fit into your overarching ideal right from the start, that's awesome. I've seen people commit hardware to tape back in the day that they couldn't undo, and sometimes it was kind of in a scary way, but let's just see what this guy has to say about this.
Some real world examples that I always see happen are when people don't tune their drums, improper mic placement on their drums, not dialing in good guitar tones at the source, whether it's an amp sim or a real amp, not using fresh strings and not properly intonating their guitars.
Oh, man, okay. I think that you may have just redeemed yourself for all that that clickbait email junk. Man, intonate your damn guitars. That's one that just kills you. Later on, you're trying to mix an album and you have poorly intonated guitars, you're screwed. You know, I always tell people it's easy to tune a guitar. that doesn't mean you're going to play it in tune. And playing it in tune is your fingers, how hard you hit the pick sometimes, and intonation. Guitar's got to be in tune. It's no fun trying to mix albums of out of tune guitar parts. And just because your tuner says it's in tune doesn't mean the intonation's right. Get the intonation right. I can have a guitar tech on here, and we'll talk about prepping the guitars here. But everything he just said, tuning the drums, I don't know. We used to tune our drums to tones, and you can still do that. There's a lot of videos on how to do that. But at least tune it to the point where the drum rings clear, if that's what you want, and isn't flapping around, if that's what you want, and isn't distorting, if that's what you want. Don't send a flappy, distorted, gross drum tone to somebody and then tell them that it's got to sound like these super clear old Quiet Riot toms, or I know it's a terrible example, right? But it's the one I reach for. You can't have horrible sounding drums and then expect them to sound super clear. I mean, make Glenn mad a little bit, but you could use some drum samples. We could fix it all up that way, but. In general, I really like what he's saying. Mic placement. He didn't say it right there, but your mic placement, maybe where you put the mic, actually works fine for the drum, but it doesn't do a good job of rejecting the other drums that are going to end up in that mic. How many times we talk about, and my new company, is based on the horrible idea of how many times cymbals sound louder in the tom mics than the toms do. So yeah, drum mic placement is very, very important. All the other stuff, fresh strings, I don't even want to get into that. We did lots of videos about strings and things like that. But yeah, especially not broken strings and bent up strings that can't intonate properly.
Basses, not using fresh drum heads, just things like that. We're quick to blame things like not having high-end mic pre's, not using outboard gear, but in reality, the things I just previously mentioned, just getting things right at the source, has nothing to do with gear and all has to do with your approach, and that's by far one of the main reasons why most home recordings don't sound that great. Now yes, this does happen in pro studios as well, especially if you're tracking with like an intern or something like that, but at the end of the day, I see it happen way, way, way more often in people's home studios. So remember, get it right at the source. And reason number 2 why so many home recordings don't turn out great is the lack of pre-production.
So you guys remember like the seven P's? You always hear the proper pre-production planning prevents piss poor performance. We used to talk about that all the time. If you back when I used to record the big stuff, you'd have a producer that really kind of handled everything. He would have everything pretty much figured out in advance, like he'd already have the parts written, especially, writing of the drum parts is a big deal, but, the producer would have kind of everything figured out, and they would rehearse the players that they were going to use until it was ready, or they'd have enough money that they'd do it on the studio time, but they would have everything figured out before you were recording, and that made a huge difference. And that's the lack of pre-production. One of the craziest things when you're recording amateur bands is one thing that if I was recording a new band, I knew I was doing my job right. If usually they'd be playing shows while we're recording. When they play their show, they would tell me, hey, that's the tightest, our audience was saying that was the tightest show we ever played. And it's because they get to finally learn in the studio what it is that they sound like, or the craziest thing that you'll hear 9 times out of 10, you'll hear the guitar players talking to each other and say, oh, that's what you're playing this whole time? And so now they finally get to hear what each other are playing, and they start thinking about, oh, how does my part fit with your part? And how do these things work as a song as a whole? And all of a sudden the band really picks up their ability to turn the band into an instrument and to make the song really coherent. And that's something that a producer would do back in the day. And that's hard to do at your home studio, but it can be done. So let's see what he says about it.
So because people have their own recording setups, they just dive in and start tracking songs that might not be finished in the first place.
That could be okay. Let's not burn it. Some people do get away by what we call kitchen sink recording. Well, if you're at home and you can spend all your time as much as you want, you may be using that thing as a scratch pad like the people used to use back in the day. They'd have some cheap recorder at home so they could just keep belting out ideas. Because back then, your cheap recorder wouldn't give you your finished quality that you wanted. So you would still have to take those ideas and take them and re-record them at the studio. But today, your home recording stuff could actually be what you could use in the end just fine. It's of that caliber. And so I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that part. If you want to, you better have some good organization skills so you know where all that stuff is.
There's a reason why when you work with big-time producers, they do a ton of pre-production. It makes the recording process so much easier, which in turn will make the mixing process and mastering process so much easier. Now, even though you might be recording in a simple home studio, I don't care if it's just a laptop and a 2-channel interface, you should always do pre-production and flesh out your songs before you start setting up microphones and dialing in tones and going through all the trouble of recording your songs in its finalized state. And believe me,
I'm not 1,000% sure, but if you listen to this advice, it's not going to hurt you. This is good advice, but like I say, I think that you could probably sketchpad out some stuff and still end up okay. But this is still good advice.
I've made this mistake dozens of times myself. This is why I have a plethora of music that's unfinished, and the stuff that is finished from way back when I started doesn't sound that great. Drum parts that weren't finalized, guitar solos that weren't finalized, vocal harmonies, all of these elements that were never fleshed out and never put into place before I brought my band into the studio to start tracking. So again, take pre-production seriously, even if you're the recording engineer recording in your own home studio.
Yeah. I will say that once in a blue moon, the artist just wasn't sure what they wanted. And I'm talking big artists with big producers, and they would come up. I mean, it's not like you can't come up with new parts in the studio. Like if you hear something, you go, oh, you know what? This would be so much better if we did this. It happens, and it's not as rigid as both of us are kind of making this sound. But yeah, for the most part, at least have an idea of what the hell you're doing. Yeah, that goes for tempo maps too. If you're coming in to record, and your song's gonna have a whole bunch of tempo changes and stuff, and you want it played to a click and everything, please bring me the click. Make a tempo map guide track that everybody can play along with.
It is definitely worth it. Okay, and this brings me to reason number 3: not taking the time to do the stuff that professional engineers actually do. Now, this has nothing to do with equipment or the fancy room you're recording in. It all has to do with the stuff that we don't want to do. Drum editing, vocal tuning, recording our takes in small sections if our guitar player isn't tight enough.
I don't even know what to say about this. Is this something that people aren't doing, or is this a straw man? Are people not doing this stuff? I know the purists out there are going to say, "Oh, you can't tune and you can't edit drums. If you edit drums, you broke the record, and if you tune the vocals, you suck. If you record the guitar parts in little chunks, you're a bad human being." But in general, I don't know. Is it just the pros that do this? I mean, not gonna be a pecker. I mean, I've been a pro for this is like my 3rd decade into it now. 20s, 4th decade into it. Oh my God, I'm old. But this is what we do. But I thought that I thought that the complaint was that home recording guys do this too much. Well, let's see what he says.
The stuff that sucks, but you gotta do. Now, I found that people are either unaware of these things that pro engineers do or are just too lazy to do them. I was always the lazy guy. But believe me, you will never...
Listen, we made Reaper so that it would take away a lot of the pain of editing drums in specifically, and with spectral editing now, you can really much more easily edit guitars and basses too. This is a kind of a revelation to me. Is this some? So you guys out there, I mean, lots of you're out there recording at home, right? Is this something that you're doing? You don't edit stuff that needs editing. You don't tune things that need tuning, and you don't take the guitar parts in the size of chunks that you need to in order to play them right, and probably edit the hell out of them after that. Is this something you guys aren't doing? Let me know, because this is weird, man. Like I didn't realize this is a thing. I always thought that the complaint was that it was too much. So let me keep going here.
Ever achieve great professional sounding results if you don't take the time to do the things that pro engineers and producers actually do in the real world, whether they're recording in a budget studio or a multi-million-dollar facility. It doesn't matter. It's all about the system and the workflow. So do not skimp over your editing and all the stuff that's not fun to do. It will make or break your productions. Believe me. And this.
Oh, I believe you. I hope everybody else believes you too. There's an idea that everything is for the song, and it's very similar to the live thing where we say the show must go on. Whatever it takes to make the idea of what you hear in that song in your head come out the speakers that way, and just whatever it is, do it. Wow, this is. Actually, I'm still kind of tripping out here.
This brings me to reason number 4, and I see this all of the time. Recording way too many tracks without any intentionality. So in other words, because we have our own home studio setup, you could go insane recording a million tracks that may or may not really belong in the final production. And this is why I always tell people to be very intentional and be ruthless with what tracks they decide to put within their production.
There's a he who shall not be named rule about just because it's recorded or just because it's on the tape doesn't mean you have to use it in the mix at the end. There are, again, like kitchen sink stuff where people just record bajillions of tracks, and then you'll try and decide what you want to use later. Or there's like this guy's saying, just record the stuff that you're going to end up using. I think that in reality it's going to be a combination of both. You might have some stuff on tape that you're not going to use, but you might want to record a little bit more than you think you're going to need, just in case, But it's good advice, because one of the crazy things is later on, you open up somebody's DAW session where you got 5 billion tracks, and you don't know what the hell anything is, and you find out that the vocal track you ended up using for the whole thing, oh no, that was just supposed to be one of the words in the third verse. So this is also to do with record keeping. You really make sure that you let your mixer know what it is that you're gonna use, or if that mixer's if your DAW has like a way to leave notes in it, or you can name your tracks a certain way so you know what you want to use. I know it's kind of hard to do at the heat of the moment, but don't leave too many confusing things out there. This is good advice.
Back before DAWs, when engineers were using tape machines and consoles, they had to be very intentional with what they decided to record and use within their mixes. And this limitation was actually a good thing. It helped them develop more solid productions.
Now, this is true, but there's a reason we ended up with such gigantic analog consoles in the day. Oftentimes, you really would sync. Sync is a thing. You would stripe an outside tape track with SMPTE timecode, and not just for the automation on the mixing console, but you would lock a bunch of tape recorders together. If you needed more tracks, you'd add more tracks. So, yes, it's true. It's more of a pain on tape, especially later on to figure out where it is, because you don't have you're gonna have to listen through it. You don't have a visual representation of what's on the tape tracks. It's actually amazing that we used to work without being able to see what's on our tape. It's mind blowing to go back to those days where that was the case. You didn't see anything, you just heard it. Imagine that. You couldn't see where the parts were on the tape, so it took you forever. You'd have to go back through and catalog, and you'd have an intern write down what every single thing on every single track was. So it's true for the most part. It made it such a pain that you didn't want to do it, but you could most certainly lock more tape recorders up. We had several Studers. We had, once the Sony digital machines came out, you could lock those things together, 48 tracks at a time, or the Mitsubishi's 32 tracks at a time. You could still make a mess of things back then.
Productions that were clear and had a purpose. In other words, if they recorded a bunch of tracks, they would quickly sum them down because they didn't have the available tracks on the console to work with anyway, or to take.
Sometimes that's the case, sometimes that's not. We had a gigantic console. We're not going to run out of channels for the sync together tape recorders anytime soon. And some groups would sum things down so that they wouldn't get confused. When we did some of the Black Eyed Peas stuff, their guy, man, what was his name? MPC Master, man. He would bounce everything down. So you just had sensible things at the end. Even if you didn't have quite the flexibility, it was the intentionality, like he's saying. It's actually a good idea.
Tape machine, and they had to make sure that whatever was going into the mix really belonged there. Now, when I say this, people often say to me, "Oh, there's so many great records that have a million tracks," and you are right. But these records were done by producers that had a very clear vision, and they didn't just haphazardly start recording tracks in the studio, especially when they were working in expensive facilities where time equaled money. And again, this commonly becomes a problem for people in their home studios because time doesn't equal money. They can take all the time they want. That's not necessarily a good thing. So again,
yeah, that's not going to argue there. It was, the money was one of those filters that separated the wheat from the chaff. And it was a bummer because a lot of bands that didn't have any money, they couldn't really afford to record stuff. But we'd find ways. Anytime we had a new gear, I'd go down to a club, and if there were certain clubs that were notorious for overbooking, and when that happened, I'd bring a band from there who got bumped, and we'd test some stuff. So there was always a way to get the bands in if you really had to. But man, that money, the amount that it cost, really filtered out the non-hackers there.
Again, be intentional with the tracks you're recording and decide to use within your production, and don't just randomly record tracks just because you can. It will hurt your productions. Okay, and this brings me to reason number 5 why so many home recordings don't end up sounding that great. And it's a simple one. Home studio owners rarely set deadlines for themselves. Much like reason number 4, because time doesn't equal money and you could take.
Now, I'm guilty of this. Whenever I'm doing a charity project, by charity, I mean the band's not paying me anything, and it's just a project I believe in. I can get way behind. I am horrifically guilty of this. Set deadlines. At least when you're working with other people, even if you're recording all your stuff at home, you're the only artist or whatever, there are other people that are going to be involved, right? You're going to have people that are going to want to hear this, your fans. You're going to have people that might play this. You might have some sort of street team. You might have people that want to use your music in one of their other productions, like behind a video or something. They're going to need to know when they can get this song. So, that's not a bad idea for many reasons. Let's see what else he's saying.
Take as much time as you want. It's not uncommon for people to spend years and years and years on projects that should have only taken a couple of months.
Now, it's also not uncommon for people to spend years and years and years on projects in the big studio that should have taken days, weeks, or months. Sometimes things take a while. They get put in the background where people are making more money to pay for more. But in general, I'm just giving what ifs because in general, this is what this guy's saying is right.
Again, I'm speaking from experience. There are projects that I started back in 2008 that I never finished because I either kept adding things, changing things, mixing things over and over and over and over again. But at the end of the day, it did nothing but prevent me from releasing my music or releasing music that just didn't have the same heart and soul in it that it would have had if I had a clear start and end point. Remember, just because you're working within a budget studio and you don't have all the fancy pants gear, which you really don't need, that big studios have, pay close attention to the workflow, habits, and techniques that pro producers and engineers actually use
You know, I actually kind of like this. You know, Frightbox, if you end up seeing this video, even you may be upset at me for what I said about your email thing, and I don't take it back, but let me know. I would be happy to give you some our company's plugins for free, because this is a great video that I could actually send this to people who are coming to record and make my life a lot easier. So let's see what else he's going.
In the real world, you'll notice they don't endlessly work on records till the end of time. They rarely start albums without doing thorough pre-production. They don't record a bunch of bad sounding sources and expect to fix them later. They don't.
Sometimes all you're going to have is bad sounding sources, and you're going to have to fix them later. But yeah, again, I'm just giving the edge cases here. But you know, it happens. Sometimes, look, I'll tell you something else. I will take a poorly played good song over a perfectly played, perfectly recorded crappy song any day of the week. I think the Misfits proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Some other bands that I recorded that now are a lot more known, let's say, they may not have been able to play all that well, but they had good songs. So, but you know, again, that's just an exception. So
don't skip over editing and making sure that they do whatever it takes to make the tracks tight and sound great. And they don't record a billion extra tracks that really have no purpose within the production anyway. So again, when we think of home studio productions, many of us think of bad sounding productions, but at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with bad or inexpensive gear or the lack of room treatment.
I'm still going to go with to me, like, okay, so there's two different pieces of room treatment here. There's the mixing rooms acoustical treatment and the recording rooms. There can be things that happen in the recording room that make it very difficult to deal with later on. Especially, let's say you got a full band and there's not enough isolation. You get a bunch of out of tune crap leaking through the drum mics or something, or you know. If you can have drums sitting in a place in a small room where it makes them sound really kind of gross. I really think that close mics, as much as everybody says, oh no, we just use the overhead, and the other mics, we just barely turn them on to enhance things. You know, if you're going to be talking about that or Glyn Johns or whatever, then sure, the room is super important. But for the most part, with close mics, room's not as important out there, but still yet, I can tell you that plenty of times I've been much easier drum sounds, or especially vocal sounds. Wow, vocal sounds can be awful in the wrong room, and they can be really hard to deal with EQ wise, because you know some of the problems are actually in the time domain, not just the frequency domain. And I don't know, you want to make sure that your recording room acoustics aren't doing something awful to the sound you're recording. But again, to be fair, if it's a really good song, even if the instruments all sound crappy, it's still going to be better than having a crappy song and a perfect recording. But on the other hand, when it comes to your mixing room, if you can't tell what it is that you're hearing, you're going to be making bad decisions. I really think. I've had a long relationship with my mastering engineer, and so he's kind of used to what I'm hearing, and he'll, as I'm sending mixes through a project to him, he'll kind of tell me if my room is a problem and what I need to do. Or, you know, he'll say that, you know, I don't know if he knows the room is a problem, but he'll know that something funny is going on, and he'll tell me to look at things, and I'll deal with them from there. But I guess, you know, we could have Scott Veenstra on here again and really talk about room acoustics. But you know, we were just talking about headphones at the beginning of this thing. You know, if it has to be, you know, headphones will take the room out of the equation. And I really do believe that people can get good mixes on headphones. I don't believe that you need to spend $480 on the headphones to make them sound good. But I think your room acoustics do matter to me. I mean, it sure is sure makes my job easier to know what I'm hearing. And I'm not positive I know what I'm hearing in this room that I'm in right now, actually. I have a lot of bass trapping up, but I have a lot of little problems. It's a very small room, so who knows?
It usually comes down to user error, and in my opinion, these top 5 reasons are by far the most common that I see over and over and over again, and I've been guilty of them myself.
Okay.
So I want the best for you. I want you to skip over all this crap and get right to making great sounding music. And because of this, I put together a 5-step guide.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, this is fair use, right? If anybody want to challenge me on that, let me know. But because I did, we, as a favor to this guy, it's only fair. I'm gonna leave up the rest of here where he talks about how to get to his stuff.
Guide to better heavy mixes so you can achieve better results with the gear you have right now. There's a link to the free guide right below within this video's description. So I'm curious, do you have your own home studio, and do you often blame your gear and the room you're recording in for the results that you're achieving that you're not too happy about? Or do you have a home studio and you're absolutely thrilled with your productions and feel that they're just as professional as anything coming out of a pro studio? I'd love to hear your opinion. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not...
Okay, so I'm going to like this. I'm going to share this on Facebook. I'm trying anyway. I don't know why it's not letting me. Okay, so I liked, and I guess let's comment. Uh-oh, how come I can't comment on this thing? Let's see. Comment. Here we go. Awesome video. Awesome video. Did a commentary on it. Thanks. I'd love to send you our plugins for free as a thank you. So that did it all. Liked, commented, shared. I don't know about subscribe. Maybe I'll subscribe. We'll see. So let's see what else he says.
Not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And until next time, happy home recording.
Now I want to go hear what this guy actually records. This actually sounds right up my alley. So there you go. There is my commentary on that video, and it's not as hypey as I was afraid of. Actually, really wasn't all that hypey at all. Maybe it wasn't hypey at all. Again, my thing about the email click thingy, but whatever. Yeah, that's fine. Perfectly good advice to me. You heard my caveats about just little things, but I wouldn't hesitate to send this video to bands before they come to record. So awesome. And I guess that's it for today, unless I don't see any questions. So I will see you guys next week.